I'm gonna go back and make the thing again, dragging it down here. You can also do, there's a new sequence from clip button here, but however it is in DaVinci, you can just Google how to make a sequence from a clip.
Just drag it down.
Yeah, drag it down. This is just like the new item button. So whatever the equivalent of that, you'll do that. And I like to drag like the level or the layer with your clip on it over here on the side to make it a little taller, because that helps it when you're doing slow motion. And for doing slow motion, which is kind of like the main like hard part of like making a reel, honestly. There's a couple things that I do to make it like work good. So you see all these clips, the frame rate is all basically 120. It's like right below, but 120 frames per second. And when you make a sequence from the clip, it's gonna make the sequence at the frame rate of the clip, which is like, good because they match. But when we want to slow down a clip, we don't want the sequence to be trying to play it at 120 frames, because if we chop that in half, then it'll only be 60 frames, but it'll try to play 120, so it'll be like mismatched basically.
Gotcha.
So what we do is we go to sequence and sequence settings, and we're going to change the frame rate of the sequence from 120 down to 24, but you go right below it. I don't know why. You just could do the 23.9. So that way it still like looks good and it looks normal, but it gives you more room to lower the frame rate of the clip down and still have it like have all the frames that it wants to use.
Gotcha. So you don't want it at the default 120. That's the main thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So with the sequence, you want to be at either 24 or like 30, but I stick to 24.
What if I shoot at 60 frame?
If you shoot at 60 frames, it'll make the sequence 60 frames.
I still have to lower it?
Yeah, you're still going to want to lower it but if you do 60 frames, you're probably going to want to lower it to 30. And it's kind of a math thing, because when you're like slowing it down,
you don't want it to be choppy.
You don't want it to be choppy, and you want the like numbers to kind of line up well. Like for this, since I have 120 frames and I lowered it to 24 frames per second in the sequence, that means that I can slow it down to 1/5 speed.
Gotcha.
So 20% speed, and 120 divided by 1/5 is 24.
Right.
So it'll match up perfectly.
You want something divisible.
You want a multiple. Yeah, exactly. You want it divisible by a certain amount. And for 60 frames, I would lower it to 30, because then you can just go 50% and it's clean 30. I don't even know how you get 60 to 24 frames. It's like 45. I don't know, 45%. Okay. So then to make the actual slow motion happen, what you're going to do, at least for Premiere, is right click the clip, and you want to show clip keyframes. Keyframes are basically how you kind of divide up a thing to change settings at a different time. And you're going to hit time remapping and speed. Again, I hope it's similar in DaVinci.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing?
It's the
Okay,
same
sweet,
thing.
awesome, great. So this brings up like a big long bar that you can now like lower to lower the speed of the clip. Also, undo is Control V, Command V, whatever. That's normal. But you don't want to lower just like the whole thing. You don't want to make it all slow-mo. You want it to be just at the cool part.
Right.
So to do that, I'm gonna do it like here. So this is kind of another layer of complication because if you basically the way I have this set up, and I'm sure you can do it in DaVinci as well, but I set a keybind for visiting keyboard shortcuts. If you search up add keyframe, add or remove video keyframe, I have it bound to X,
Yeah.
which is super handy, because then when I'm on my timeline, I want to start my slow-mo like here when you can start seeing him slide. I'm going to hit X.
Yeah.
And that gives me a little marker on the thing. And then I want to end it like here. I'm going to hit X again.
Yeah.
And that divides up the line so that I can now lower the speed just at that segment. And I'm going to bring it down to 20%.
Yeah.
And that way it'll go fast, and it'll go slow, and it'll go fast again. But a thing to make it, you notice it goes like full speed, slow, and then jumps back to full speed. I want it to be gradual, so the way that you do it here, hope it's the same, is you grab the keyframe, you click on it, and you drag it out, and that makes it more gradual. It's like they call it a speed ramp.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do that on both sides, so that way it kind of eases in and eases out. It's like a subtle thing, but I think it helps a lot with just like looking smooth, looking nice. And you can change kind of the length of how long it takes to speed ramp, kind of how gradual the change is, and I'll usually kind of tweak both. You can pull both ends of it to do that. Like this would probably be a little long for me, and then that's kind of, I kind of like measure it in when my eye gets bored. Like I'm kind of bored of seeing him slide by the end there, so I'm gonna shorten it up a little bit. And then maybe a little bit more even. And then I'm pretty happy with that. And then he does the second one. So I'm gonna have this one. And also like I would have started it earlier, like when the disc hits him or misses him, but since he's not visible, it's like there's no use kind of slowing it down there. But for this next one, since he just kind of like plops and lands on the ground, but you can see him at the start, I'll probably slow-mo it around, and also like here, like the disc hits him kind of, you can kind of see it. So I'll probably start the slow-mo around there. And then like kind of have the slow-mo of him dropping into the slide. It's just kind of a feel thing. Also, when you're pulling it down like normally, you see it's like kind of hitting it's going by increments of 1, which is like, you know, cool because you can be specific, but I kind of want it to be around like the either 80% or 60%, just like 20 by increments of 20%. And an easier way to do that on Premiere is if you hit the space bar, it goes in increments of 5, which helps you kind of more easily get to that desired slow factor. Also, if you click like in the middle of it, you can change both the front and the back instead of just the front or just the back. These are like, you know, minute things, but being able to control them goes a long way. And sometimes when there's not a lot of motion in a particular action, I'll have the slow-mo be like 40% instead, because it like, I don't know, if it's like super slow and like nothing's happening, it's not as interesting. Yeah, it's just not as, you know, stimulating. It's all about the attention economy. When you're making something that someone's going to view for 10 seconds and then never think about it again.
TikTok brain.
Yeah, TikTok brain, exactly. I like this at 40% rather than 20%, just because like he's kind of just sitting straight down, and like when it hits him, he's kind of just running. But if I have it at 40%, it's like more, I don't know, active. Yeah, go for it. Okay, I'm gonna end I have everything timed out and collected with the music. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make another sequence with just this stuff. And the way I do that in Premiere is I'll make a subsequence. So it pops up a second sequence that's like blah, 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 and it says like sub at the end. But what I do is I'll name it vert, whatever the name is. So I have the normal one, and I have the vert which is the one I'm going to make vertical and turn into a reel. And the way I do that is first, when I have all the timing how I want, I'm gonna like watch it through one more time to make sure I have it all how I want, because I'm gonna lock it in before I flip it. So yeah, totally. We'll try to get that visible, and I'm gonna just make it a little longer so we have more to work with if we want. Because what I'm gonna do now before we flip it is I'm gonna what's called nest. I'm gonna nest this whole clip.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what the name is. Nested sequence 1, fine. Which is what that does is it just kind of solidifies all the slow motion and edits that we made, so that they're kind of just like locked in place, and we can mess with it other ways without it being. It'll do like the editing software like doesn't know how to change certain things when it's like trying to do a slow mo also. So we nest it to like get rid of all the any issues. So it's one piece. It's one piece of hardwood that we can do. Then what we're going to do with our sequence that we call vertical, but it's still horizontal, we're going to go up here to sequences and sequence settings. Cool, we're recording, good. And what we're going to do is we're going to change the frame size. So just flip these numbers. It's like 1080 by 1920. And I'm just going to go 1080, 1920 in opposite spots. And that flips it from 16 by 9 to 9 by 16. I'm gonna hit OK, delete all previews, whatever. Now it's vertical,
Right.
which is cool. But it's like small, hard to see up here. So this Premiere has a thing where you can change like the workflow, they call it, which is basically where the windows are. If you click this vertical one, it'll make the video over here. So now you can see it bigger.
DaVinci doesn't have that.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Maybe you can move the windows around to do it automatically, but whatever. So now it's vertical, which is cool, but the issue is things aren't always on screen. Like when he gets hit by the disc or when he slides, he's off screen. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through and make sure that everything is like framed well and visible. And how we do that, so we go to Effect Controls. Is that named the same thing? Okay, cool. So we're gonna go to Effect Controls, and basically we're just gonna go through and set keyframes at like all the points that we need to make sure the video is framed well. In here, the way you start that is by clicking this little time thing, which makes a little dot or a keyframe at this point. And what I'm going to start by doing is having the disc, instead of being on the side of the frame, I want it to be in the middle. So I basically just click on this is like the horizontal position. I'm going to slide it over so that the disc is in the middle. Like go forward. I want that to be a little bit more like centered. So I'm going to do this, and this makes another keyframe. Basically just go through and adjusting it so that they're kind of always in the middle. So when he throws it, it goes off the screen. So what I'm going to do, because it's like this, I like this right here. So I'm going to put a keyframe there so that it stays locked there. But then mid-flight, I'm gonna have it. Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna have it dragged to the side. And I want to be super, super careful to never have the black come like into the screen, like never crop it too far. And then I'm gonna like watch that. Cool. That works well. And as he comes out of it, he goes a little more to the side, so I'm gonna have to bring it back over. But another thing is if I just go like here and bring it to the side, then it's gonna kind of it's trying to like always move it to where it's like constantly moving to where the next keyframe is. So after like it moves to the side here, it's gonna immediately start moving back. Okay, that doesn't actually look that bad, but it like keeps him on the side versus in the normal thing he like gets more towards the center, and I want him to be in the center. So I'm gonna put, before I move it back over, I'm gonna just like click the dot to just add another keyframe like right where it is, so that way it like goes to the side and stays there for a second versus going and bouncing back, because then I'm gonna not have it framed how I want. But then now when he's in the center and moves over here, now I'm gonna bring it back over like that. So then it's like, and I want it to come a little bit more so he's in the middle. Cool, he's a little bit to the side. So instead of just moving it over, because everything up to that point was framed well, so instead I'm gonna like put a
Lock there.
I'm gonna lock it here and then slide it over as the disc is flying. So that it ends up like over here. Back there. Oh, low-key. Oh, he hits the Sue. He hits the Suey. Okay, we gotta get both of those. Okay, cool. Awesome. Let's go. I love when I just find shit. Okay, so both of these are a little bit like, this is all the way over there, that's all the way over here. So what I'm gonna do here is I wanna get more stuff in the frame. I want it to be wider. So I'm gonna do a keyframe for, oh, and a really convenient way is these arrows to get, you can just like jump directly to a keyframe instead of like trying to get close to it and like adjusting it how you want. I'm just gonna kind of try and do both, but or if you want to change one thing at the same time as another thing, because what I'm going to do here, since I want to zoom out a little bit and show more things on each side, I'm going to change the scale, which is basically like how zoomed in or out the clip is in the screen. So where this position keyframe is, I'm going to add a scale keyframe, which locks this where it is, and then by the time we get to Rocky, I'm gonna have it be zoomed out. So I'm gonna bring out the scale, and then that will let us see more of the kid and the girls in the background. I don't even think we could do the logo, but what do you guys think? Would you like just more? Because honestly, I think we could do the logo, and it would still like, because we could have it like in the middle here, and have the things happening on both sides. They'd still be like visible. So I think could be cool. So yeah, you see like it's kind of slowly kind of zooming out, but it's not very visible. Also, it just lines up on the beat just perfectly.
Incredible.
Awesome. Okay, and then now that we've like have moved everything around, watch through, where we want it. It's great. So it's like so dense with just shit happening. There are.
Which is like, that's heat.
It's super
like
heat.
All our sessions. There's just
Yeah.
so much shit happening.
Every session is this craziness. It's a beautiful thing to witness. Okay, so that's like pretty much good to go. The only thing is we got the black borders on the top and bottom.
Right.
And so the way that we get rid of those and fill the space is
Will Instagram do that with the aspect ratio directly?
no, because we have it in the aspect ratio that they want, but we have to do a little special thing to get rid of them that a lot of people don't know about, and it annoys me. But what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take everything that we just made, this whole sequence or this whole clip, I'm gonna copy it and paste it over here so we get a duplicate. I'm gonna do another nest to solidify all the moving and stuff that we did before.
Right.
And so now we have another version of it over here, and the way that we're gonna kind of fill the space is we're gonna make this one, I don't know what blur effect they have in DaVinci, but you're gonna put a blur effect. Like, I'm sure you can just go to the effects tab and look up blurs and basically make this nice and blurry. I usually bring it up to like 50, so it's like kind of generally blurred. Then I'm gonna make it bigger.
Yeah.
I'm gonna expand it to fill the whole frame, and then I'm gonna move this one up and put this one underneath it. And that way we get the clear one in the front and the blurry one behind. And that way it, fills all the space, but it's the same thing, so it kind of looks natural.
W tech.
Yeah, it's a really good tech, and it like tricks the brain into thinking like I'm looking at a full thing, but it's really just there. But it's cool. And you just like increase the scale so it's big enough. One trap that you can sometimes fall into is when you, like, at the end of the clip here, we changed the scale, we made it smaller, and that's going to do the same thing for this big one behind, so then we actually see we get a little bit of the like black bar leaking in. So you want to make sure that your lower thing is big enough to cover even when it gets smaller, and it's going to be like super big at the start here, but you don't notice, it doesn't matter. But when it gets smaller, like, that's when you could notice that. So that is basically most of it. And the color on this is honestly pretty good. Like, you were talking about color grading, I'm gonna go to the Lumetri color, which is basically just the color grading thing in Premiere. And honestly, don't need to change much with this. When you export things in Premiere, they desaturate a little bit, so I'm gonna increase the saturation a bit just to compensate for that. And it's a little bit dark maybe, so I'm gonna like raise the exposure a bit. So I'm gonna bring up the saturation and the exposure, and then I will always like copy and paste it to the bottom one so that they're the same color across both. But I think overall it looks pretty good.
Yeah.
And then, there's like a quick export button up here, or just like a main export thing over here. Export that, and then we'll watch it back, and I think it's pretty chill. Yes, it's a little bit like less saturated than it is over here. It's like very slight, but. Fire. Okay. That is how you make a reel.